Hello, welcome to episode number 49 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I am your host, Joseph Laney Pavlon. Alongside me is my colleague tonight, Justin Heber, and we are set to kick off tonight with a boatload of events and motorsports that we are gladly ready to talk about here. So let's get things started. First and foremost, Joey Logano is the first multi-winner of the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series season.
Yep.
He pulled it off the win at Phoenix. We're going to get into that. We'll be talking about the Xfinity Series and how Kyle Busch got beat, as well as some of the other events that took place over the race weekend, as well, like ARCA and the Crown Jewel Monster Energy Supercross race, which was at Daytona. And stay tuned for later in the podcast because we will definitely get into open wheel racing as it says in the title. We have IndyCar and Formula One returning for 2020. They're coming back in full swing, so we're going to do a preview on both of those seasons coming up. But for now, we have two races that we're going to get into and some two other events. Let's get started with the NASCAR Cup Series, which had their Fan Shield 500, the Phoenix 500 kilometers, our first 500K of the season, and it was round 4 of 36. Joey Logano became the first repeat winner of the season. He led 60 laps, started 13th, and got his second win at Phoenix, his 25th of his entire Cup Series career, and second of the season. And looking down on this list, finishing second was the winningest driver at Phoenix, Kevin Harvick, in his quest for 10. Fell short. He led 67 laps, won stage one, started second. Then you look down the list, Kyle Busch started 10th, finished third. Kyle Larson led 2 laps and started 4th.
Yep.
Down the top 5, Clint Bowyer finished 5th from 18th on the grid. Boyer's having some trouble qualifying, even though he won a pole last week. We'll get into that later.
Yep.
Kurt Busch finished 6th. He started 7th. Chase Elliott finished 7th after leading 93 laps from the pole. Eric Almirola finished 8th after starting 6th. Cole Custer finished 9th, started 16th for a career best finish.
Highest rookie in the race.
Right, that's who is a rookie of the race. And William Byron finished 10th after starting 17th. And here are the notables that finished outside the top 10, starting with Brad Keselowski, who won stage 2, led 82 laps, started 14th. Jimmy Johnson finished 12th. He started 21st. Chris Buescher finished 17th after leading 1 lap and started 23rd. Denny Hamlin finished 20th, started 3rd. Eric Jones finished 28th after starting 11th. And looking down the list, Martin Truex Jr. finished 32nd after retiring from the race due to an accident. He led 11 laps and started 12th. Tyler Reddick also crashed out from the race, finishing 33rd after starting 29th.
He was running in the front most of the race. In the top 5, top 10, he was there.
Right. And lastly, Ryan Blaney finished 37th place, retired early. He started 5th.
Yep. Involved in the accident with Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin on lap 65.
Right, and that lap 65 contact is where we're going to get things started off this Phoenix race. What went wrong?
Like, Denny Hamlin got loose underneath Brad Keselowski. You saw how Hamlin was close to Brad, and they were really fighting, and it was a close battle back there, but, like, Hamlin got loose. All Ryan Blaney fans are like, Denny Hamlin should be suspended. He shouldn't drive.
Hamlin did nothing wrong. He just got loose, and it was the wrong place at the wrong time.
I thought Brad was done. Like,
Me too. He backed into the wall.
Yeah, Hamlin backed in it.
And I thought Denny was done too. Hamlin managed a 20th place finish, but he was many laps down.
But no, he was on the lead lap. Remember, he got the free pass.
For the majority of the race, he was like 2 laps down.
Also, Ryan Blaney got front damage. I guess it knocked the radiator out of the 12, so that's why he retired.
And as for Brad Keselowski, he came back and led 82 laps, won stage 2, but fell outside the top 10, had to settle for 11.
His tires were not.
They weren't working for him. But
his tires were old.
his
compared to,
the last man standing for Penske was Joey Logano, and he delivered like he did at Vegas.
and also
Honestly, if
uh,
he was in it to win it at Daytona, he probably would have won the 500 or had a
like
shot to
like
win that also.
but like Logano was up there on most of the race, but this is interesting. Alex Bowman, he got stage points. Stage 2, he was 20th. Stage 3, he was kind of in the front, but had old tires. Fell back to and finished 14th because he had fresh tires on the restart, but he kept getting checked up. And do you know what? Corey LaJoy finished 27th, last car on the lead lap. Do you know how he
How?
fell down to 27th? He lost his brakes
You
with
need brakes at Phoenix.
he lost his brake with 10 to go and managed to finish 27th and not retire the race. With he had no brakes, you need your brakes. He managed to finish the race with no brakes. That's just impressive. He literally wheeled the car with no brakes to finish the race. And he really did good by not crashing the car with no brakes. He's done that before at Pocono 2018. But he managed to drive the car with no brakes without any problems, which is really good. And Daniel Suarez got 21st in that 96 car. And JJ Yaley finished on the lead lap somehow in a Rick Ware car. We never see that.
Right, but I think, this could be a stepping stone for what's to come in November. But
Yep.
I said this in NASCAR by the numbers.
Yeah.
The track temperatures will probably be minus 20 or more degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. By the time we come back there in the fall, it's going to be cooler temperatures. And actually, no, they don't do daylight savings time, because if they did, I was going to say that it would end in the night, which would reduce the track temperature even further. But still, we get to see who is in the best advantage now. When Homestead was the championship race, they didn't have that, so they do in Phoenix. Let's take a look at the point standings. Kevin Harvick takes it by 1 point over Joey Logano. So Harvick at 164, Logano at 163, and right now Joey Logano is sitting there in second. That win really boosting him up in the championship. Chase Elliott third. Alex Bowman sits at fourth, so Elliott has 144 points, and Elliott's at 144. Bowman's at
138.
138.
And then it's Jimmy Johnson fifth. What I think won something. Jimmy Johnson is fifth, I think, in the points.
Right, and yeah, Jimmy Johnson is still in fifth. He's got 131 points claimed so far. And then you look down the list, Ryan Blaney is sixth, 123rd, 123 points. Kyle Larson is seventh with 121 points, along with Eric Almirola. They share the same number of points.
Yep.
And sitting in ninth and 10th, Matt Benedetto and Brad Keselowski, they have 118 points claimed so far.
Yeah.
Their next race, we'll get into that later in the podcast. It's the Atlanta 500, round 5 of 36. That race used to be round 2 for the last few years, but it's now round 5. And so it'll be a little warmer when we get there. It's not, it used to be very chilly.
Also, there's still a chance of rain in the area. You never know. It's Atlanta. It's in the southeast. We're not in the western. We're not in the southwest anymore. We're in the southeast. And there's always chance of rain. And also about the points, Ryan Blaney is the biggest loser. He was second in points after Auto Club. Fell down to 6. He lost 4 spots. But Ryan Blaney's going to a good track, Atlanta.
There's 31 races left. Just saying.
Yeah, but he's going to a good track next week, Atlanta.
Right, they do favor the Fords lately. I know we've seen with Kevin Harvick, who had a blistering performance in 2018, Brad Keselowski in 2019, and 2017. Well, actually, that was kind of Harvick.
Harvick got a penalty. He got a penalty.
Right.
Which Brad could be a favorite. We'll see how it goes.
Hold off a hard-charging Martin Truex Jr. to do it.
The last non-Ford win was 2016.
Jimmy Johnson.
In a Chevy. Last Toyota win.
Put on a clinic.
The last Toyota win there was Kyle Busch 2013,
back when they raced on Labor Day weekend.
Because 2014,
in summer temperatures.
The last Labor Day weekend after that, 2014, I just remembered it was Casey Kane in the
Right.
5. Holding,
That would be Casey Kane's second to last win.
and Kane got. I remember Kenseth getting loose. Kenseth really got loose, and that's how Kane
Right.
got the
That
lead.
was really Kenseth race. He kind of he gave it out.
But,
Just that final restart really
but
hurt him.
Casey Kane actually was leading before that yellow came out with Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch, and Truex was mad.
All right. We'll get into that later. Now they're
Yeah,
teammates. All right.
yeah,
So NASCAR Xfinity Series had their race, the Phoenix 200. This was a 200 mile, not a 200 kilometer. Round 4 of their 33 race tour, and Brandon Jones led a Joe Gibbs Racing 1-2-3 finish, an impressive run by those Toyota Supras. They just put on an absolute clinic, but we all thought the man of the race was going to be the man of the series, Kyle Busch, who has 96 wins.
Yeah, but Brandon Jones, that late move by the 19, because Kyle wore the crap out of the tires, he said, but Brandon Jones, that move for Brandon Jones, he made a good move.
Right, and Brandon Jones led 24 laps, started 5th, or actually 8th, and he scored his second career win. His first career win was last fall at Kansas in 2019.
That was more like a fluke. People wrecked and stuff, but
right.
this one, he passed.
He deserved it. And if you go back to California Speedway, you saw he dominated first 2 stages from the pole, led the most laps.
He got put on the wall. Yeah, he got put on the wall.
Was a precursor to what happened, to what we saw yesterday, in my opinion.
Yeah,
hands down.
That 19 car really did good. And
right.
His pit crew would gain spots.
Spectacular.
His pit crew, every pit stop, he would gain positions, which is really good.
So moving down the list, Harrison Burton finished second after starting third. Kyle Busch finished third after leading 78 laps from the pole. Brad Keselowski finished fourth. He led 7 laps, started fourth. Justin Haley finished 5th after starting 14th. Chase Briscoe came home 6th after starting 9th. Noah Gragson finished 7th. He won stage 2, led 27 laps, and started 7th. Austin Cindric finished 8th after leading 9 laps from 2nd off the grid. Ross Chastain finished 9th after leading 4 laps. He started 5th. And Riley Herbst completes an all Joe Gibbs top 10, or Joe Gibbs bringing all the cars on the top 10. He started 11th. And Herbst this is kind of like his home race, along with Las Vegas.
Yeah.
All right, and here are some of the notables I've listed outside the top 10, starting with Justin Allgaier, who finished 13th, leading stage 1, leading 51 laps. The 2-time winner in Phoenix, unfortunately, did not make it 3. He struggled, started 6th, though, but managed a lackluster race for his standards, 13th. Mike Snyder finished 14th after starting 15th. And 15th place, Jeff Green. Good run for the 57-year-old champion from 2000, driving for RSS Racing. Started 29th. Managed to keep a very steady performance in that car. 30th place, and he retired after starting 12th from the event. Daniel Hemrick is just having a very rough start to the 2020 season. Joe Nemechek finished 32nd after hitting the wall. He started 27th. And Jeremy Clements finished 36th after an engine failure. He started 18th.
Also, guys, if you didn't watch the race, you saw a fight at the end of the race.
Right, we saw some tempers flaring between Dylan Bassett and his brother Ronnie, who actually works on the team. They split the car this season, and Brendan Brown.
Yeah, because Brendan Brown got loose because Dylan Bassett did not leave too much room, so Brendan Brown got loose. They literally, right as Brendan Brown parked his car, they ran to his car, and holy, tempers did flare. It was
right.
Yep.
So with that said, their next we'll talk about their next race in a minute, but let's get into the point standings real quick. So it looks like this Harrison Burton has a 3-point lead over Chase Briscoe, so he's at 176 points. Briscoe sits at 173. Austin Cindric, Briscoe's Ford companion, is third with 155 points, and Brandon Jones, who won Saturday, has 148 points. He sits 4th in the standings, while Ross Chastain's 5th with 146. Noah Gragson, Daytona winner, is in 6 with 143 points. Ryan Sieg is tied with him in 7th. Justin Haley is in 8th. He has 140 points claimed so far. Justin Allgaier is currently in 9th with 138 points, and Michael Annett is 10th with 119. Their next race will be this weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Atlanta 250. That will be round 5 of 33.
Yep.
So we'll get more into Xfinity later when we get on our race preview segment of this podcast. But before we do that, we do have 2 races that we put in our others category, starting with the Crown Jewel Monster Energy Supercross race at Daytona. And boy, without a duel, that was round 10 of their 17 race tour. It was in the infield grass at Daytona International Speedway. It's their Crown Jewel event. Eli Tomac had a massive mission to chase down Ken Roczen, and he passed him with just 3 minutes left and never looked back. Eli Tomac winning in his Kawasaki over Ken Roczen, who dominated most of the race, and he obliterated everyone in his heat events and all that. Roczen finished second in his Honda. Cooper Webb finished third in the KTM. Jason Anderson, who I believe he came through the LCQ, if I'm not mistaken, but he finished 4th in his Husqvarna, and Justin Barcia's Yamaha came home in 5th. So here are the standings. They look like this. Eli Tomac has a 3-point lead, 226 points over Ken Roczen, who sits at 223.
Yep.
And Cooper Webb is kind of drifting away from that mix. He's at 197 points in 3rd. Justin Barcia's -2 behind Cooper Webb at 195. He's in 4th. And Jason Anderson's way far back at 170 points in 5th. Their next race will be this weekend at the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis for round 11 of 17.
Yep.
I think it's coming down to just 2 riders at this point. Eli Tomac had a statement-making win over Ken Roczen, who had a statement-making win last week. So it's really them versus the rest of the field. Yep. But somebody's going to have to win that championship, and it's not going to go to 2 of them. So it's really going to come down, and those guys are 3 points apart. Make sure you watch NBC SN. Moving on to the next race that we have here is the ARCA Phoenix General Tire 150, round 2 of their 28 race tour. Chandler Smith won. He led 11 laps over Michael Self, who won Daytona. 3rd place was the dominant car of the event, Ty Gibbs. He led 122 laps, but stumbled in the last restart, had to settle for 3rd. Tanner Gray 4th. Zane Smith finished 5th after leading 9 laps. Nick Sanchez finished 6th. Haley Deegan finished 7th. Chase Cabre 8th. Lawless Allen 9th. And Gio Celsi in 10th. Yep. The standings look like this. The top 5, we have Michael Self with 91 points over Haley Deegan, who has 79 points. Drew Dollars in 3rd with 71 points. Tanner Gray is 4th with 69 points. And Tad Moffitt is 5th with 65 points. So we know that Tanner Gray is not going to run the full season. So, and I don't believe Tad Moffitt is either. I think it's just running some of the races, but they're probably going to.
Like, same thing with Chandler Smith. He's only running 13 races. The eight. He's running.
They're going to drift away from the points.
Like, Chandler Smith's running the 10 showdown races plus 3 others because he'll be 18 in June.
Right, I forgot. This was the first of 10 races in the showdown.
Yep. Which next race by the way, ARCA, if people are ARCA fans like Ian asks, when's the next race? All the way
April 19th
at Salem
200. That's round 3 of 20.
That's the same weekend as Richmond. But Chandler Smith, he's running ARCA and trucks that weekend. So Chandler Smith, Saturday, he's running the truck race. He has to fly to Salem and run the 20 car. He has to go. Where's Salem anyway? I have to go check.
But I'll
Salem.
tell you, Salem's a very interesting track because I think it's made of concrete.
Yeah. Where is Salem? Oh, Salem's in Indiana. He has to fly from Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, to Salem, Indiana, because he's running two races
Not
basically.
Salem, Massachusetts.
No, Salem, Indiana. He's flying from Richmond, Virginia to Salem. Right after the truck race is done, he flies to Salem, Indiana to
Right.
run his ARCA car.
All right.
Which,
So let's move.
yep.
Let's get into our previews now. This is where the podcast starts to hit our longest route. We got a lot to talk about. So we'll get started. Here's what we have for tonight. We'll get into the NASCAR Cup Series, Atlanta 500. That's round 5 of 36. NASCAR Xfinity Series has the Atlanta 250. That's round 5 of 33. And we'll see the return of the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series for the Atlanta 200. That's round 3 of 23. And welcome back, Formula One. The Australian Grand Prix round 1 of 21. Supercars Series returns at the same track at Albert Park Circuit in Melbourne and South Melbourne, Victoria, Australia for the Melbourne 400. That's week 2 of 14, rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6 of 28. And IndyCar makes their return. Their 2020 season opener begins on the Gulf Coast of Florida for the St. Petersburg Grand Prix, round 1 of 17.
Not St. Petersburg, Russia, fans. St. Petersburg, Florida, and it's not Singapore.
Right, I made a mistake that one time. I called it Singapore on accident.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend. You gotta tune in the races.
Right, so let's get started with the first race that we'll get in here. Is we go to NASCAR. It's the Cup Series Atlanta 500. So as I mentioned, round 5 of 36. Last year, Brad Keselowski scored the win, and here's some history about the race. The first race was in 1961 by Fireball Roberts, and if you remember, the track had a layout change in 1997, which turned it into a track similar to Charlotte and Texas, a D-shaped quad oval mile and a half circuit.
And the pavement is still the same in 1997. It's not
Right, it's a
repaved.
very bumpy pavements too.
Oh,
A lot of people,
yeah.
a lot of drivers are actually some drivers are like
Want to-
50-50. They want it paved, they don't want it paved.
But like one of them, Dale Jr. wants to keep it like that because bumpy tracks. That's it.
Has its own characteristic.
It's the same thing with Kentucky. They used to have the bumpy surface, which I
Right,
like.
the racing characteristics have been different, not for
Yeah,
the better, since the track has been repaved.
Yeah,
So
Kentucky repave. Ugh.
we'll get more into that later. Let's talk about the history of the track. So we know 1965 Roberts won the inaugural race. The track had a layout change in 97, and the driver with the most wins, Dale Earnhardt with 9, and Cale Yarborough has 7 victories. 2 drivers have 6 wins at this track, Bobby Labonte and Richard Petty. And then these drivers have 5 victories, Bobby Allison, Bill Elliott, Jeff Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson. 2 drivers have 4 wins at this track, Fred Lorenzen and David Pearson. And these drivers have 3 victories at Atlanta, Neil Bonnet, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Casey Kane, Morgan Shepherd, Tony Stewart, Darrell Waltrip. And these drivers have 2 wins at this track, Buddy Baker, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Mark Martin, Marvin Panch, Rusty Wallace, and Igor Yarbrough. Most victories by a team, and I'm only listing the spring because they used to have a race in the fall that doesn't exist anymore. Hendrick Motorsports with 9 victories, Joe Gibbs Racing with 7. Roush Fenway Racing has 5 wins, and these teams have 4 victories. The Wood Brothers, Penny Enterprises, and Junior Johnson and Associates, as well as Richard Childress Racing. These teams have, actually, one team has 3 victories, Team Penske, and these teams have 2 victories, Bondi Long, Dygar Motorsports, Melling Racing, and Stuart Haas Racing. Yep. And here are the manufacturers that are on the top of the wins board here for the spring, mind you. Chevrolet with 23, Ford has 19, 7 for Pontiac, Plymouth and Dodge have 3 wins apiece, Mercury and Toyota have 2, and Buick with 1. So this is our first quad oval mile and a half of the season.
Yep. Whew. Yeah, Atlanta. Also, it's more different, like bumpy surface. and also you don't want the loosest race car ever and hit the bumps gets one thing, the setup, you have to have a good setup. You don't want a loose setup, obviously. Hitting those bumps, getting sideways. You don't want a tight setup where you're in the wall half the times. Which that you could lose speed, but like Atlanta, you want to have a good run off the corners. Basically, to run good at Atlanta, you enter the corner low and go up high off the entry to get a run down the back straightaway. Basically how you do it. But you could run up high at Atlanta. I've seen people run up high, or Mike Joy once called it the Harry Gant line, scraping the outside wall. But
Right. Well, when Harry Gant around here in Atlanta, he used of course, it was the old layout that we had, which is
yeah,
the track that's most similar to it today is Homestead Miami Speedway. Ever since they upped the bankings in 2003,
yeah,
and
because
speaking of
before,
which, we'll be going there next week. So look
yeah, not
out for
not
that.
final race, not the final race. It's gonna be also the first time in NASCAR since Loudon to have two races, or yeah, two races for like first and like a race and then a final race. Not like Homestead where it was only one race a
Right.
year. And also Atlanta, it's gonna be interesting with all the pass. We're gonna see passes at Atlanta for sure. It's not gonna be single file. It's gonna be passes like 2000, like
I
Vegas
think we're gonna see a lot more
in
comers and
last.
goers. Maybe
Yeah,
Vegas was a good preview, but I wouldn't bet solely on that. Restarts will be a little more tame, I'd say.
we'll see. It's also the bumps. Those bumps.
Tires will be crucial.
Oh, yep. We talk.
Fontana compared to Michigan has more
Yeah,
prevalency when it comes to tire failures.
but here it's
Wow.
more. Here
Uh,
it's more.
Go on.
Tires at Atlanta award faster than at Auto Club because you see the bumps at Atlanta. You can see where the cracks are. Like you see the car bouncing literally on the straightaways. So it's not just an easy ride around Atlanta. It's hard.
No, it's a tough ordeal. I think the thing with Atlanta is just got to be consistent in pit stops. Some people are going
Yep,
to pit earlier than usual because they want to get
the
that grip,
tires. Yeah, because the
and they don't want
fuel.
to. One tire could go down much
Oh,
faster.
we've seen a couple of years ago Ryan Newman
It's not
three
just about
laps
your
to
car being
go. Ryan Newman 3 years ago spun out with a flat tire, at which that's where the overtime
generated a restart, and that
restart.
generated more chaos. And Jimmy
Oh
Johnson
yeah, the back straightaway,
his
Eric
fifth win in
Almirola.
Atlanta.
Yeah, that's how Almirola and half the back of the field crashed, and Dale Jr. edged out Kyle Busch for second there.
Right. So we're gonna get to some predictions here. So who's your prediction to win? Comment section if you're watching live chat. Please go ahead and tell me who you got winning at Atlanta. I'm very curious to hear. But I'll start with my prediction. So he won this race. Um, he won this race in 2018. Never looked back. He won this race in upset fashion in 2001. His first career win in his third start, replacing the then fallen Dale Earnhardt.
Yep.
Richard Childress Racing was in a state of just downward depression. They didn't know what's going on. They had to pick someone. They picked Kevin Harvick, and he did the unthinkable, holding off of all people Jeff Gordon by just a few inches to win that race. And then he comes back and wins it again in 2018 in blistering fashion. You could not try him.
Yeah.
Now
And oh,
he's going to win for a third time. And that veteran experience with the bumpy racetrack, it's going to pay off.
okay, my pick. My pick is this guy. He's never won this track, but he's been close to winning here, including 2017, where he got second. This driver's known for running the high line every racetrack, including Homestead. Kyle Larson's gonna win his first win at Atlanta, first of the season, and lock into the playoffs by winning at Atlanta. Which
That sounds doable.
because he knows the outside works at this track. He's gonna be up there at one point.
He will. All right. So I think we got everything covered there. I'm looking for Kevin Harvick. I picked him to win Phoenix. He almost did it. But
Well, I
Harvick
picked
might be his
I picked
track. It's
Jimmy.
just his niche, you know.
Well, just see, it's just the cars are different than last year. The package is different. Remember, they changed it up. They tweaked some things, so we'll see how interesting the race is. It's going to be an interesting.
All right, let's go ahead and move forward now to the NASCAR Xfinity Series for the Atlanta 250. That's round 5 of their 33 race championship. Christopher Bell won the race last year. The first race was in 1992, won by Jeff Gordon. These drivers have the most wins. Kevin Harvick, we were just talking about him on the Cup side. He has 5 victories at this track. Mark Martin has 3. And Jamie McMurray, Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Jeff Burton, and Kyle Busch share 2 wins apiece on that list. Most team wins, Roush Fenway Racing with 7, Richard Childress Racing, Junior Motorsports, and Joe Gibbs Racing have 3. Most make wins, 15 for Chevy, 10 with Ford, and 3 for Toyota. Who's going to win this race?
Oh, this is this is hard. Like, just looking at these guys, like, wait, I just checked. There's no former winner.
There is none.
No, it's all no. None of these drivers in the field have ever won at Atlanta, so it's going to be interesting.
You know who I'm gonna go for though. This might be very interesting because it's a bold prediction. He finished second at Auto Club, but Riley Herbst will get his first career win at Atlanta.
Okay, I'm just trying to think. Like this. Let me check something. Okay, I'm just checking something. What's the better average finish? Just checking, seeing if. Okay, I got my pick. This driver has run only one race at Atlanta, but his average finish is 8th. This driver, he's been close to win an Xfinity race. This driver drives for Calling, and it's not Ross Chastain. Justin Haley will win his first career win here at Atlanta.
Justin Haley.
Yep.
That sounds like a good one. I feel like I've experienced my payoff here, but there's just I just don't know. It's hard to pick from one to the other.
There's no former winner at this track in this race. It's all like there's no Cup guys, so we don't have Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick. They won at that track, but they're not in the race. So it's hard to pick a winner when there's no former winner. I know Atlanta's going to be really interesting.
All right, so let's move on to the NASCAR Gainer Outdoors Truck Series for Atlanta. This is their 3rd round of their 23 race championship. The Atlanta 200 was won by Kyle Busch last year, and their first race was 2004, won by Bobby Hamilton. That's one of the most incredible truck races I've ever seen, by the way. Go check it out on YouTube. Good thing for technology. All right, so 2 drivers have multiple victories. The most wins, Kyle Busch with 5, including last year, and Ron Hornaday with 2. Most team wins in the spring race at Atlanta. Kevin Harvick Incorporated, which is a team that ran RCR equipment back then, They're third, or no, they had 3 wins. They're first on that list. Second on that list, they're tied. Billy Baloo Motorsports and Kyle Busch Motorsports with 2 victories apiece. Toyota have 8 wins, most of any manufacturer in the spring, and Chevy has 5, and Dodge has 1. Of course, that being Bobby Hamilton in 2004, the inaugural event. So who's going to win this truck race?
Okay, this drive. I have a driver. He's won one Atlanta truck race, but his average finish is 5th. And sorry, Ian, my pick is a cop guy. Chase Elliott wins at Atlanta in that 24 Hooters Chevrolet.
Well, Chase Elliott might be your pick, but my pick is going to be the man that keeps him from getting $100,000. Kyle Busch. Sorry,
We'll
Kevin
see.
Harvick. It might
We'll,
wait. It's going to be at
we'll,
Homestead.
we'll see because pit crew couple years.
Yeah, I remember that 2018 race that kept him
Yeah,
from winning a
the
fifth,
the
but then he
tire rolled
managed
away.
to win in 2019.
But we'll see.
Brett Moffitt won that race, but I think he's going to be a great factor. Brett Moffitt's good on these quad oval
But
tracks.
we'll see Chase Elliott. He finished 5th here, and his only truck started at Atlanta. And he's driving GMS equipment. GMS equipment is not garbage equipment
Right.
in the
But
truck scene.
if for some reason, because he has to qualify on time, and he does not make the race, who would be your backup pick?
Oh, my backup pick would be Johnny Sauter.
Johnny Sauter. All
Because
right.
you never know. There could be rain. You never know.
Right. It's very unlikely, though.
But we'll see.
So Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott.
Yep.
And that's for our truck predictions.
I'm not going with JJ Yaley because he's driving for bad equipment.
All right, let's get into what is our first topic of the season. We'll be getting into this. Formula One is back for 2020. Their first of 21 races on the calendar. Possibly 22, but for now 21 is in Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park Street Circuit for their first race of the season, the Australian Grand Prix. So last year, Valtteri Bottas won the race, and the first race was 1985, won by Keke Rosberg. Here are the drivers that have the most victories, multiple wins. Michael Schumacher with 4, Jenson Button, Sebastian Vettel with 3, Alain Prost, Gerhard Berger, Ayrton Senna, Damon Hill, David Coulthard, Kimi Räikkönen, Lewis Hamilton, and Nico Rosberg have 2 wins. And for most constructor victories, McLaren with 11, Ferrari has 9, Williams with 5, Mercedes with 4, and Renault with 2. So now that we have our facts, who will be the man in the top step of the podium for the first race in 2020?
Oh, I think I know. My pick. This driver is not. He is a winner at this track, but he doesn't have many wins at this track. He actually, in fact, he only has 1 victory at this track. And people are like, oh, so this driver, he drives for Mercedes. He won last year. Valtteri Bottas wins 2 years in a row. He'll win the Australian Grand Prix.
So you got Valtteri Bottas.
There's no team orders this time, so there's no
Valtteri. He didn't have it anyways. I
think he'll pull away like last year from Lewis Hamilton.
All right, this man has 3 victories at Albert Park. 1 with Red Bull, 2 back-to-back with Ferrari.
Oh god.
Sebastian Vettel is going to win. And
we'll see.
I mean, hey,
it's just the
we didn't think he was going to win in 2017. He won.
But the Ferrari cars are slow. I mean, even the engine.
Listen, Vettel knows this track better than any other driver.
You need speed at this track to carry momentum.
And he's the winningest active driver here. So I think. Listen, I don't know. We have to wait till first practice.
We'll see how fast. What happens if Mercedes is like 5 seconds faster, and they're like, "Oh God, that's not a good thing." When you're 5 seconds off, but what? Do you want to know what somebody said for a joke about that? that we're gonna see the top 4 positions: Mercedes W11, Mercedes W11, Mercedes W10, Mercedes W10. So the Racing Point car literally bought the Mercedes 2019 car. They just put pink wrap over it.
Does that mean they're
Basically,
fast? I mean, we'll have to find out. It
yeah.
all those questions will be answered when the lights come off on Sunday afternoon, and that's game on.
Sunday morning for
Well,
people,
for us in North America,
and
1
also
a.m. Eastern time.
we'll see if Grosjean crashes right away with Magnussen. We'll see.
Wait on that.
Maybe Williams will
There
be
are
better
actual
than
rumors of Haas F1 possibly shutting down. I hope that's not the case. I mean, at this point, they gotta look themselves in the mirror.
Man, Magnussen
and Grosjean.
Magnussen crashed, like Grosjean crashes in the race. Magnussen crashes in qualifying. Like that's more embarrassing. And also, we'll see if Williams could actually not be horrendous. They were decent in testing, but they might be.
Testing's just testing. Not everyone shows their true colors in testing.
But usually, testing, you bring a slower car in testing. Maybe Williams brought a slow car in testing, but they were actually not that slow.
I mean, Williams is going to be.
We'll see.
Like
I feel like they're better than last year. I feel like they're not gonna. I think they could beat Haas in most races. I think Haas is down there. I think Haas will be in the bottom.
We'll have to see. I mean, I think the best. I mean, I don't even know. Ferrari didn't look too good on testing, so it's hard to say.
I just looked and I know Ocon was slow in a Renault, while Ricciardo was in the top 5. Ocon was last in his Renault. We'll see if Ocon can do anything good in his Renault.
Yeah, I'm glad Ocon's back. Honestly, he really deserved that seat. 2019, he got to sit out, but he's back.
But Hulkenberg has no seat.
Yeah, that's tough to watch because Nico Hulkenberg, kind of like Ocon, but maybe to a further extent deserves a ride.
Like Hulkenberg almost got a podium at Germany, his home track.
You know, he's got so many races without a podium, and we know he's podium worthy.
Yeah.
Which just adds to the frustration because someone like him, I hope there's a seat available. And I'm looking at Haas. You guys at Haas, put him in your seat. Time's up for one of your 2 drivers, but I'm not going to go there. I think we all know the story. It's self-explanatory.
I would actually get rid of both. Put 2 different drivers.
You're not wrong on that.
Because Grosjean's been wrecking in practice and the race. While
he only scored 8 points last year.
Magnussen crashed in qualifying like 3 to 5 times in a year. I'm like, how do you
listen, something's got to change, but change starts from looking in the mirror. So I got Sebastian Vettel. You have Valtteri Bottas. And
Mercedes.
It's all game on. Remember, Sunday, it all starts. And
also, I won't fall asleep this time.
No way, especially because the 12 hours of Sebring, the Sebring race weekend won't intervene. It's actually next weekend. We'll be talking more about that on the next podcast.
The Sebring race will be during the literally the Sebring race is at night, but the next day after that will be the Bahrain Grand Prix is literally a week after the Australian Grand Prix, which Bahrain. Guys, if you didn't hear, Bahrain will have no spectators.
Right, we'll get more into that a little bit later when we talk about the coronavirus outbreak. So let's move on into to the IndyCar series. Or actually, no. Before we get into IndyCar, let's more horses on that and get into supercars. So let's get started on that. The 2020 Supercars Championship. Began at Adelaide, and for race 1, it was Jamie Whincup. Race 2, Scott McLaughlin. So we already see where everything stands. And now they are back for week 2 of 2020. So week 2 of the 14-week tour and rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6 of 28. So 4 races in the weekend, 4 sprint length races. 400 kilometers in total. So last year, Scott McLaughlin won 3 of them, and Chaz Mostert won the other. The first race, and mind you, I'm only talking about the races that have counted towards the championship. So the first race was 2018, won by Scott McLaughlin, and Scott has the most wins at 4, while Jamie Whincup, David Reynolds, Scott Pye, and Chaz Mosser have 1 apiece. Most team victories, obviously DJR Team Penske with 4, and Triple Eight Race Engineering, Erebus Motorsport, Waukesha and Jordan United, and Tickford Racing all have 1 win. And for most make victories, Ford has 5, Holden has 3. And McLaughlin has won a few races actually in 2017 and 2016 when he drove for the Volvo at Gary Rogers Motorsport, and back when there was an exhibition race, because it's basically a companion to the Australian Grand Prix race weekend at the same track. So let's get into our predictions. Who will win race 1? I mean, we have 4 races to predict. So will we see a weekend sweep, a near weekend sweep like we had in 2019?
This is hard. Okay, I got my picks.
All right, all right, you go ahead. I'm still deciding.
Race 3, McLaughlin. Race 4, Van Gisbergen. Race 5, McLaughlin again. Race 6, which is the 6th race of the season. The 4th race of the weekend. I have Shane Van Gisbergen, so it's gonna be McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen, McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen.
In other words, the Kiwis will be happy. So let's get into that. So my first, so for race 1, round 3 of the season will be Scott McLaughlin. Round 4 will be Jamie Whincup. Round 5 will be Shane Van Gisbergen. Round 6 will be Scott McLaughlin. So McLaughlin's going to 2.
For me,
we'll see 1 for Whincup and Van Gisbergen.
For me, I feel like Van Gisbergen. Last week he should have won race 2.
Right, and he fell short. He had an engine failure late in the race.
Even McLaughlin said he didn't deserve it. He even said that about Van Gisbergen winning it.
Right. So I think it's going to be a very interesting race for sure. I'm curious because we're always entertained. So let's move on to IndyCar now. For our first race of the year in 2020,
Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg.
Yes, sir. St. Pete Grand Prix is round 1 of 17 at the streets of St. Petersburg in the Gulf Coast of Florida. Always a beautiful sight. Always seems to have some good weather when they go there.
Hopefully we don't have weirdness.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be interesting because 2018 was a very awkward race. But let's get into the history of the event. So last year, Joseph Newgarden won. The first race was ran in 2003, and the winner was Paul Tracy, driving for Forsyth. And most wins, Elio Castroneves with 3, and Sebastian Bourdais, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Will Power have 2 victories for them. Most team wins, 9 for Team Penske, 2 for Dale Coyne Racing, and 2 for Andretti Autosport. Most engine wins, Honda with 9, Chevrolet with 6, and Ford Cosworth with 1. So, who's going to win the season opener?
This is so hard. I just was thinking about this. Penske, they've had a trend of winning 2 in a row. Feel like that trend's continuing. Joseph Newgarden, car number 1, will win again at the season opener at St. Pete. So my pick's Joseph Newgarden, the 1.
Joseph Newgarden may be the man, but I think Sebastian Bourdais might have a shot, even though he's in new equipment this year. But he's AJ Foyt. But I will go with this guy. He's gonna impress a lot of us. Alexander Rossi will win race 1. So I think Rossi and Newgarden are just gonna pick up from where they left off in 2019.
Also, Yep. And also, hopefully NBCSN's cameras don't malfunction like last year when
Uh,
we only had the audio.
all right. So with that
And
said, Joe,
also,
come on.
people, the race starts later than usual. It starts at 2:30 Eastern with green flag at 3 Eastern. I know. The race usually starts earlier than that, but they decided to do a later start time during NASCAR. So we know what Ian's gonna watch. IndyCar. He doesn't.
Right, Ian Press 48 on YouTube. We run his reaction videos, so go check his channel out.
Yep.
We need to get him on one of these podcasts someday.
I remember.
All right.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh yeah, the headlines.
let's talk about that. So we have a lot to discuss. First and foremost, I think, to be honest, like you know, a lot has happened. So Eric
Yep.
Jones, if you know the Kyle Busch bounty, Kevin Harvick said, okay, Cup drivers, if you could beat Kyle, I will give you $100,000 in reward. So as a result, many drivers and teams have taken action. But this one's even bizarre. Eric Jones will drive in the Truck Series for a team with owners Billy Ballou, James Finch, and Richie Waters. I'd say three journeyman team owners, crew chief. They've been in around the sport for many years.
Yep.
And they're collaborating in a trio with a Toyota for Eric Jones at Homestead. So be on the lookout for that.
I guess about Richie Waters, it's actually Richie Waters Racing, like the Waters Racing. Remember Noah Gregson in
2016
drove that 18 for Richie Waters at the end of the season? That's the team. There, that's where the truck is going to be based, but you're going to have so many owners, so 3 different people helping Eric Jones in that truck. Because Eric Jones ran his last truck race he ran was replacing Noah Gregson at Pocono 2018. Remember, Gregson was sick? And he was battling Kyle Busch at Pocono, but he ended up finishing second to Kyle Busch. But Eric Jones, yeah. So that's going to be an interesting race at Homestead. Eric Jones competing for Richie Waters and Billy Ballou and James Finch.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Very interesting. So, with that said, now moving on, Chandler Smith. So speaking on this, what we have, Chandler Smith will be driving 8 Truck Series events for Kyle Busch, and he's been super impressive with what we've seen with Chandler Smith and what he's been able to do this whole time. It's just bizarre. You know, he almost won that Iowa race. He had a little radio issue, a little penalty. Could have won that thing, his debut. And some other races as well. Phoenix last year.
He finished 4th at Gateway after starting in the back because rain in qualifying. Other than that, he finished 2nd at Bristol. Remember, he finished 2nd to Brett Moffitt. And
Yeah.
he finished 3rd at Phoenix. He really did good. And also, his first truck start of the season is at Richmond, driving the number 51, which that will be really interesting for Chandler Smith running at Richmond, a truck he's never ran at.
All right, so moving down, Tony Stewart. This is bizarre. We didn't see this coming, but Tony Stewart's going to be returning to NASCAR in an Xfinity Series race with probably his own equipment at the Indianapolis Grand Prix. That's going to be fun to watch.
And people might think possibly 14 might be his number because there's no 14 in the only team that had a 14 was TriStar, but they shut down.
They're long gone.
So Tony Stewart might run the 14 possibly, but he's going to be alongside Chase Briscoe in that race. And I just realized this with Tony Stewart in that other car, 2 Indiana natives in that race because Chase Briscoe is also from Indiana, which is really interesting.
So there's that. 2021 Daytona Speed Weeks, Daytona 500 week will change when it comes to scheduling, and one of the more significant changes includes the the Bush Clash, which is basically the exhibition race
For the
for
pole
pole winners,
and
they
undercut.
will race on the road course, the circuit that the 24 hours of Daytona uses.
Yup. Ooh.
And during that same week, we'll see a few changes.
Qualifying on a Wednesday. The ARCA race? That's the Saturday with the Xfinity
It's
race.
actually a Saturday night after the Xfinity race.
And also Friday still the trucks, Thursday still the duels, Sunday still the cup race, which I'm actually gonna be in that cup race in
Right. I,
2021.
I might be there in as well. I'm trying to get some tickets to go and drive up to Daytona for the 500. What are the pluses and minuses of this deal?
The plus is for me is like road course. Like the thing is the oval. Like I'm sorry people that like Daytona, it's just like having the Daytona 500 on the oval is normal, but the Clash you
Have a
have
little experiment. Have some fun.
yeah,
It's
like the
just it's
road
not a real
course.
race. So
Yeah,
why
it's
let
it's
them out?
it's,
Give them
it's
what they
just
get.
for money. It's money and a trophy. Like running on a road course, it's gonna be interesting. The minuses is the schedule is too close
Yeah.
together.
Personally, I like the qualifying a week before because
Yeah,
and anyways, our podcasts are Monday, so we can actually talk about the dual previews and all that, which now we don't. And if rain somehow comes into the picture, I mean, even though it's highly unlikely, I mean, I said that, and then it happened in the
then they
500 this year.
yeah. Like it's just like yeah, it's squeezed. This schedule squeezed together. It's like what the heck?
But what I will say is that
Wait, what would they do for qualifying? Are they gonna do it in the afternoon or at night?
probably in the afternoon,
That'll
like
be
they,
bad. Yeah, like the duels
but
they used to do.
and the duels will still be Thursday night. Truck
Yeah,
Series race will still be Friday night.
it's
However, the ARCA 200 will be moved to
un-
Saturday night.
after the Xfinity
I'm
race.
not a fan of that, to be honest. I feel like ARCA should just a company like the spread out weekend's a little better, in my opinion.
But that's like the thing about it.
But it's just an experiment. I'm sure if it goes well, they'll do it again in 2022. If not, I'm sure it will go back to what it used to be
The,
for the longest time.
the only thing is, there's after the spread out weekend, there's no racing on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. There's nothing. No track activity for 3 days.
And I think they're kind of wasting days, in my opinion.
Like the only other race that on in that area is at New Smyrna Beach with that their Arca East race was on the Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday in that area, nothing until Thursday we had the duels and truck practice. That's
All
all we
right, so
had.
now let's go ahead and move a little forward um, and see what else we have here. Jimmy Johnson will test an Arrow McLaren Schmidt Peterson Indy car this year and is rumored to run some IndyCar races next year. Where is this going?
I don't know, but I heard the test is at Barber.
Listen,
Car.
after the 2018 season, Jimmy Johnson and Fernando Alonso did a seat swap in Bahrain
In the F1 and
with
NASCAR.
McLaren.
Yep, I remember this. Yeah, Johnson drove Alonso's F1 while Alonso drove Jimmy Johnson's number 48 Lowe's car, which looked like a test car. Sorry. It looked.
What I'm trying to say here is
Yeah.
that this McLaren Jimmy Johnson tie dates or could date back to 2018 with that seat swap. If you remember the Tony Stewart Lewis Hamilton seat swap in 2011, that was generated due to Mobile One, who was a sponsor with McLaren, which Lewis Hamilton drove for back then,
And they sponsored
and
NASCAR.
Tony Stewart as well. Tony Stewart's team was sponsored by Mobile One as well. So it was a win-win situation.
Yep.
They did the seat swap under wet conditions at Watkins Glen.
You know, Bristol is on April 5th, the same day as Barber. That test session is supposed to be on the 6th, the next day. But
knowing Bristol in the spring,
always
it always seems to become a Monday race by tradition.
Hey, last year was Sunday. That's the old.
It almost looked like it was going to happen again last year. There's just a very cloudy day.
But some races have been like postponed to Monday. 2016 was the. Do you want to know what's funny? 2016 is the last race that there was no rain. It was sunny. the Bristol 2016 race where
But then the August race.
and Brian Scott Archer breaking.
Right, right. So let's move down the list. Coronavirus. We'll get into it. We're gonna hear that a lot,
Yeah, well, it's
unless you've been hiding under a rock.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so the Monza 12 hours, which was a race by the 24 series, has been postponed due to the coronavirus outbreak that's going on in Italy, and there will be more to come on that. So keep your ears out for an update on the standing of that race. Also, Rickware Racing, as you notice, they returned to endurance racing. They came back to they opened an LMP2 team. They'll be in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. They won the Asian Le Mans Series Championship, and they almost went in the 24 Hours of Daytona. They are now opening up a GT3 program with Audi, beginning at the IMSA Long Beach Grand Prix.
Ooh.
So let's see how that goes. Will we see them running in other GT3 events?
Possibly.
And what's the standing of their LMP2 team if they open up a GT3 team? That's always a question that will be or is to be answered when that time comes.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We're not because by the way, guys, we're not NASCAR we're not reporters that we're not gonna fly out to
Plus, it's just a new report, so we don't even know where things are going to start.
Like we can't fly to Charlotte and go interview Rick Ware. We can't do that. We don't have enough money. We're not a we're not NASCAR news or something. No, we're just people.
All right, moving on now.
Yeah.
So and we'll talk about the coronavirus here. So Chandler, I don't know why I was talking about Chandler Smith. I had something to say about Chandler Smith.
That's not part of that. That's not part of the headlines.
I'm having an off day. So the coronavirus, the Formula E series already postponed one race, the Sanya E Prix, which is supposed to be the next race. But now the race after, which is supposed to be the Rome E Prix, has been postponed due to the coronavirus outbreak. Yeah. So the coronavirus, if you know, the primary country that's mostly affecting right now is China.
Yep.
You know that. Sanya E Prix, it's in China, mainland China, off the table. The Chinese Grand Prix in Formula One, right now, off the table.
Vietnam is still there.
But the second worst affected country by the coronavirus is Rome. Italy.
Oh, Rome. Rome's not a country.
No, but Rome's almost like a country. How most populated it is. It's a street circuit race, so that's not going to help either. And right now, the coronavirus outbreak is starting to slowly affect Italy worse, and now there are about like 360 casualties, unfortunately, by this horrible virus.
And there's a lot of cases everywhere, basically.
Right. And more than others. Speaking of the coronavirus, also, the Bahrain Grand Prix, which will be round 2 of the 20. Is it round 2 or round 3?
Round 2. It's
round 2 of the Formula One World Championship.
This weekend is Australia, the 22nd, which is the week that you're in Homestead. That race 2 is the next week after literally right after Australia next week. The 22nd is Bahrain.
All right, and that race, due to concerns about the coronavirus outbreak, the Bahrain Grand Prix will be ran without paying spectators, and that's a report as of yesterday, March 8th. Is this the right move by the FIA, or should they just cancel it entirely?
I feel like it's a right move because canceling a race is kind of annoying. Like, people want to watch the races, and also, like, people want to watch the race is the thing. People want to watch races. They don't want to get canceled, even with no spectators.
I mean, it's this 2020. You're able to watch it from here or on TV.
Never try. Don't go on YouTube streams because that's not gonna work.
No. I tried that.
Also, about that, it's not just so no spectators, but the commentators will be there. So you're not gonna just see cameramen with just silence. They'll be
all right.
And maybe they'll put fake crowd noises.
Okay, maybe.
We'll see.
I mean, the podium you'll be looking down. There's like nobody, just your team.
We'll see what Sky Sports does. That's their decision.
All right, and also we to close this podcast, we did have sad news. Unfortunately, David Rogers, short track driver who was mostly famous for competing in 30 plus snowball derbies in Pensacola, Florida, has passed away of cancer at the age of 64. In fact, his last race was the 2019 snowball derby. And I remember reporting that race just a few months ago. So that's very sad. So now we're about to approach the end of this podcast. I think we have you. What are your last words?
Also, people, check out the races. Fox for NASCAR Cup, Xfinity Trucks, FS1. Also, for U.S. viewers for F1, ESPN. Yeah, ESPN. So check out ESPN at 1:05 a.m. Eastern, and IndyCar, check out NBCSN for the race. And also, if you didn't know, there's Monster Energy Supercross on Saturday night. Check that out on NBCSN.
All right. So
Yeah.
that will wrap up episode number 49 of the Bloody Online podcast. We will have a special episode 50 next week
Yeah.
of this episode of this podcast. I can't believe we've gone so far.
Yeah.
And we have so much left, so much to go here. I love this job. It's a blast. So be on the lookout for next Monday. We'll be back. For my partner Justin Hever, I'm Joe Lenny Pavlon signing off. It's not ending. I'm clicking it. It's an error occurred.
Oh my god.
What do I do? It says please.
This is the weirdest intro ever.
Great.
Outro. This is.
I wanted to eat dinner, and this is what's happening.
This is.
This is.
If that'll be bad. Armani rewatches. He's like, why are they just staring for like so many seconds? What the? Okay, StreamYard. Hold up.
Yeah, StreamYard. I think we need your help.
StreamYard, please fix this, please. This is the weirdest.
I have a life to live.
Yeah, we can't just sit here. I can't sit here forever. I can't just.
I'm clicking on broadcast. I click it again. It cycles. I'm supposed to like wait here, and it's not signing off.
Yeah, it still says live, so people are probably looking at it. It's like, what the heck's going on, right? Stream.
Let me see if it's out from YouTube. Oh, it says live now.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, we're screwed.
People are probably looking at it just being. Oh yeah, it still says live. Yep, we're still live, I guess.
Yeah, we're still live, and I'm trying. I'm literally trying to exit this.
Yep. Sorry, guys.
I'm actually gonna Google this right now. I'm like I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
I have a life to live, and this is what I'm stuck doing.
Oh, Chris Driedger is starting goalie for the Panthers.
Oh yeah, the Panthers while I'm playing.
Yeah, guys. So if you wanted, yeah, this is.
I'm looking up. StreamYard stream won't end.
Armani's never had a problem with StreamYard, and we're having the most.
I've never had a problem with StreamYard before.
Yeah, like Armani did easily. Here we're just stuck at this.
What if I log out?
We'll see what happens.
It's not working.
Uh-oh.
I can't even send anything in the private chat.
Uh-oh. Nice.
It might be here for a while. Send something in there. I'm very curious.
Mine's just loading.
Oh, so you have the same problem too?
Yeah.
great.
Oh,
It's a technical difficulty.
having trouble connecting. What? It says it's my internet. I
It's not
told
my
you.
internet. It's StreamYard. Look
Yeah,
yourself in the mirror.
yeah.
You guys are having a bad day.
I can tell you that. I don't even know what's going on.
I mean, I don't want to delete it. I like to know how to take it down.
I just put in the WRM official group chat. StreamYard is weird. Just click end stream and it won't end. We're just here sitting. Sorry, this is awkward for everybody.
Yes, it's very awkward. I'd like to,
This is this is the
watch
first.
hockey or let my hair down.
This is
Oh
the
wait, I
first.
can't let my hair down. I got a haircut.
This is the first time we had an issue with StreamYard. Every time I've only hosted once, but Joseph has not had any problems, or Armani. No, every tonight, all the races we're covering, all we're gonna finish. Why? LOL. Yep. This podcast doesn't like.
This podcast doesn't want us to leave.
They just want us to be sitting here for the next hour. I wonder if Armani was watching. He's probably like, "What the hell is going on with StreamYard today?"
I'm trying to leave, but I want to delete the content.
And nope, that's green screen.
How do I kill a stream without deleting it?
I don't even know. Why does Armani never had problems? Just tonight, everything
This
happened.
is the first problem I really had with StreamYard.
Yeah, Google Hangouts, we had more problems.
We had a boatload of problems on Google Hangouts.
Remember when I had like 3 accounts? I had 3 different Google accounts. Armani had 3 different accounts for me. I remember I used one this week. He used another one. Then I used the same one again. Oh, but here the stream's like, oh, we're just gonna keep you here forever.
I want to eat dinner. I'm starving. I only ate like a few meals today. I've only had like 2 sandwiches. That's pretty much it. I've been going by 2 sandwiches. I can hardly wait till my next one.
I only had macaroni, and then I had 2 pieces of pizza.
I need that right now. But I can't because I'm up here.
And that I've never seen this problem. It's just weird. Usually StreamYard's like, oh, end the stream. No, it won't end. This is the most weirdest thing ever. Like the last message at 7:59, Armani put, "Damn, that sucks." 9:10 p.m., which is my time. I put, "StreamYard is weird. Joseph clicked end stream and it won't end." So people that are watching, you're not on drugs. You're seeing this live. We're struggling to end the podcast, and yes, it's possible.
Does that mean I should just? I mean, I'm sure Google Chrome has nothing to do with this.
No, it's not Google Chrome. I can tell you that. It says please check your internet connection. Okay.
I can still mute my mic.
Like, okay, Google is weird. It said please check your internet connection on StreamYard. I can
It says an error occurred. Wait a moment and try again. When I try to click the end of the broadcast, but when I try to end or send a message in private, it says having trouble connecting. Please check your internet connection.
Me too. I could go on another tab easily. I go on another tab.
Yeah, clearly it's not us. It's them.
It's the StreamYard's like, no, we're keeping you here. We want more.
What else do we have to report?
Nothing. Yeah, because
we report that I want to go eat dinner, and I can't.
That would be weird if somebody just creates a meme channel, World Eating Media. It's
gonna end up like that if I can't get downstairs.
Like this is just weird.
And I want to watch some hockey. But at least I have it on.
Yeah, me too. Like Like, people, StreamYard, we have lives. We can't just sit here forever. I have to work tomorrow morning. I can't just sit at a chair for hours and hours and hours. I wonder.
I'm Googling it right now.
Google.
Oh, look, YouTube stream won't end. What do I do? Go on support.google.com.
Daniel just typed in the Skype chat. He said refresh the page. We don't want to lose the
All right,
stream.
I'm going to do it anyways, so wish me luck.
Hopefully we do. No, the stream's still there. Hey guys, Joseph's refreshing the stream to actually end this crap. I am sorry. I am sorry, guys. You're seeing this live. This is live. We're struggling to end a podcast. And yes, it could happen. Joseph's trying everything. I'm here. Justin, hello. Earlier, hey, Coca-Cola, I had 2 bottles of it. Please sponsor us. Please sponsor the podcast. We need money from this because sponsor Tony Stewart, Home Depot, and Budweiser. Maybe you want to sponsor. Lay's Ketchup is sponsor. We need sponsorship. I don't even know what I'm talking about. It is 9:16 where I live, 8:16 Eastern, and this podcast I'm struggling just to this having issues. Okay, let me see what it says. I don't even know what. How can we help? I've responded. Please, please, StreamYard, we need help. Okay, Joseph, I just sent a message to StreamYard. If you're watching, I sent a message to StreamYard. If I'm here all the, I might be here all night just talking. If I'm here at 4 in the morning and I don't get sleep, holy shit. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I don't even know what's going on. I've never dealt with. So yes, we need sponsorship. Lay's ketchup chips, Coca-Cola, somebody sponsor, because I'm just people just what the heck? This should be a video on its own called how a how StreamYard, how a podcast doesn't want to end compilation. It's just me and Joseph trying to figure out how to finish a podcast. That should be a next video idea at one point. Just take clips from this of me and Joseph trying to end the podcast. That should be a video. And we'll get so many views on it, people probably laughing LOL in the comments. We need sponsorship every Majesta, Kleenexes. We need Kleenex as a sponsor. Water bottles. Oh, Febreze. Can you respond to me? Piece of. Let me just try again. Hello? Come on, you. Joseph, we need you. Oops. Oh! Okay. Joseph, I got an update. Joseph, StreamYard is looking into it. I sent them a message. I sent StreamYard a message and they're looking into their technical team is looking at it. Okay? They're looking into this mistake. Because I don't even know what happened. Guys, I would actually show what's going on right now. So yeah, guys, So StreamYard's fixing this issue. If it takes an hour, I'm gonna be here like, really, bro? Yeah. Guys, I'm gonna. Hey guys, you never. Sorry, I'm half dying. I know. You're seeing this live. Share. Wait, what the fuck? Damn it. I'm trying to share. I want to. Daniel, it won't work like that. Daniel, we can't leave the stream. We can't do that. It won't work. Yeah. Am I still sharing my screen? There. Check Skype. Joseph, I sent a message. So yeah, guys, I know I'm being annoying kind of, but this just sucks. This never happened. Joseph?
I'm here.
Yeah, the technical team is looking into it. I sent them a message. They
All
actually,
right, can I end this broadcast now?
hopefully.
I'm clicking it. I want to go and eat dinner. I'll be back here next week. All right. So take two
Yeah,
signing off. Have a good one.
we'll see if it ends.